Caitlin has a great head on her shoulder. She seems like it. I don't think I've ever met her. I don't think I've met her before, but it seems like everything is going to be great for her because she's a great talent. She seems like a great gal, and I hope she turns that franchise around to where...
The NBA legend LeBron James has stepped into the ongoing drama between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, delivering a scathing critique of Reese's behavior. This intervention by one of basketball's greatest players has sent shockwaves through both the NBA and WNBA communities.
I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. You know, they flew private. That should be celebrated in its own right. For anyone that's, you know, in sports that's flown commercial or flown, you know, charter, that should be celebrated. And it's because of Caitlin Clark. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up.
But LeBron didn't stop. He asked more about how Reese acts toward Clark. He said Clark, even though people often say bad things about her, always respects her opponents. But Reese makes every moment into a big fight, acting like basketball is more like WWE wrestling than a real sport.
Let me say this to Angel Reese. Will you stop? Could you stop, please?
James didn't stay quiet. He pointed out how Reese seemed too focused on Clark. He asked why Reese was more interested in pulling Clark down instead of getting better at her own game. The basketball star told Reese to stop the silly stuff and suggested she should try beating Clark by playing better, not by always saying mean things.
Millions upon millions of people who knew and remember when you were waving your hand in Caitlin Clark's face when you were beating her for the national championship. Everybody remembered then.
This isn't Reese's first brush with controversy, especially when it comes to her interactions with Clark. The infamous "you can't see me" moment during the national championship game stands out.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
While trash talk is part of basketball culture, LeBron argued that Reese crossed a line, turning what should have been playful rivalry into something tasteless and unnecessary. Let's see what Clark said.
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands and, you know, be grateful that my team was in that position. You know, that's all you can do is, you know, hold your head high, be proud of what you did, and, you know, all the credit in the world to LSU. You know, they were tremendous. They deserve it. They had a tremendous season.
The difference between how Clark acts and how Reese behaves is very clear. LeBron talked about this, showing how Reese's actions are making things worse. He said Reese's behavior isn't just unprofessional, it's starting to make her in the WNBA look bad. LeBron didn't let the head slam incident slide either. He brought it up as a prime example of Reese's questionable behavior, framing it as proof that she's more interested in getting under Clark's skin than actually playing basketball. For LeBron, this kind of dirty play is completely unacceptable.
Is Angel Reese facing too much backlash this morning?
Ladies and gentlemen, I love Caitlin Clark. She's been a guest on this show. I think she's spectacular. I'm the one that's been calling her the Steph Curry of women's basketball, and she has done nothing to push that back. I mean, this young lady is spectacular. She's been great for women's basketball overall, not just college basketball, but women's basketball. I think she has the potential, when all is said and done, to be arguably the greatest ever, because when you have that kind of range and that kind of handle and you can pull up from the parking lot like Steph Curry, for crying out loud, I think that's something that you can transition to the next level, and it's going to be spectacular to see, and I can't wait to see it. But here's the reality of the situation. She instigated this kind of stuff. Let's call it what it is. She was waving. She was doing the Cena. How about what she did to Raven Johnson? She didn't just go into the lane and not guard her against South Carolina.
The NBA star explained it clearly when he said trash talk is normal in the game, but what Reese is doing is too much. It's just silly. He talked about the difference between trash talking, where you prove yourself by playing well, and what Reese is doing, which he thinks is just nonsense.
You just wanted attention. You were being an attention whore. And so because your basketball couldn't do it, you went to other things. It's like a kid that can't get attention from its parents. They start acting out. They'll do anything I'll start skipping school. I'll start smoking marijuana. I'll start talking back to my teacher.
LeBron didn't stop at criticizing Reese's behavior. He went for the jugular, suggesting that without Clark, Reese would just be another player. This uncomfortable truth highlights that much of Reese's fame stems from her rivalry with Clark rather than her own skills or achievements.
I think Angel Reese is jealous of Caitlin Clark. She thinks she's, the reason why this is all happening here. Caitlin Clark was going to get eyeballs whether she played against Angel Reese in LSU or not.
To make his point clear, LeBron used stats. He talked about Clark's amazing 2024 season, where she became the first player to score over 40 points in a triple-double during the NCAA tournament.
Of Caitlin Clark. She thinks she's, the reason why this is all happening here. Caitlin Clark was going to get eyeballs whether she played against Angel Reese in LSU or not.
Clark's average of 27.8 points per game and her ability to bring in huge crowds with more than 12,000 people at Iowa's games showed a big difference compared to Reese's performances. While Reese has had some solid moments like her 15-point 10-rebound game in the national championship, they pale in comparison to Clark's monster stats. LeBron made it clear why he's side-eyeing Reese so hard. Clark is out there rewriting history while Reese is working overtime just to stay relevant through trash talk.
Caitlin Clark had become the darling of the far right. I'm sure some of those black superstars read in their comments, "See what she's doing to the black people's game?" Now several WNBA stars, black and white, have criticized their commissioner for not properly condemning the Angel versus Caitlin racial hate they've seen on their social media.
The situation got worse when reports came out that Reese didn't take the criticism well. She was upset, saying LeBron's comments were unfair and complaining on social media that he doesn't understand the struggles of the WNBA. But LeBron wasn't done. He tackled one of the biggest issues in this drama, Reese's claim that Clark's popularity is because of racial favoritism. LeBron strongly disagreed, calling the accusation baseless. He made it clear that Clark's success has nothing to do with race. It's all about her talent, hard work, and domination on the court. LeBron wasn't just standing up for Clark, he was also calling out Reese for using race as a distraction from her own weak performance. It was a harsh truth, but one that LeBron clearly thought Reese needed to hear. This debate has been simmering for a while, with Reese and her fans arguing that there's a double standard in how she and Clark are treated, but LeBron's intervention blew the debate wide open. He refused to let anyone ignore the fact that Clark is legitimately changing the game, drawing in massive crowds and putting women's basketball on the map in unprecedented ways. LeBron pointed out that Clark's team pulled in almost 10 million viewers, making it the most watched women's college basketball game ever. He emphasized that this isn't media hype, it's Clark reshaping the sport while Reese makes headlines for beef. LeBron didn't just criticize, he provided context for why this matters so much. He pointed out that before the 2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% in viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Clark's arrival, it's grown by an astonishing 400%. To put this in perspective, LeBron explained that if the WNBA had continued to grow at its previous rate, it would have taken until 2028 to achieve what Clark has done this year alone. In a particularly stinging comment, LeBron told Reese to stop playing the victim. He called her out for constantly spinning the narrative to make herself look like she's being treated unfairly, instead of owning up to her own performance or working to improve her game. LeBron made it clear that he's had enough of this sob story, and so have most people watching. In LeBron's view, this issue goes beyond basketball. He believes Reese's behavior might be hurting the WNBA's image at a time when women's basketball is finally getting the attention it deserves. While Clark is breaking records and bringing in new fans, Reese is causing drama that takes the focus away from the sport's progress. LeBron finished his critique by challenging Reese to make a real difference in the league. He encouraged her to stop with the personal fights and focus on bigger issues the WNBA is facing, like getting better salaries, more promotion, and earning respect for the players who are helping the league grow. as this drama continues, it's clear that women's basketball is changing. Players like Clark are setting higher standards, not only with their performance on the court, but also with how they act off the court. LeBron's comments are a reminder that in today's world, where social media and visibility are huge, how athletes behave and their attitudes matter just as much as their game stats. The next seasons will show what happens with both Reese and Clark and the WNBA as a whole. Will Reese listen to LeBron and focus more on her game? Will Clark keep breaking records and bringing in new fans?
Her coach and you care about her, you're not doing this. You shouldn't be making the focus another statistic. You shouldn't be making the focus another fake something.
Angel Reese's journey in the WNBA has taken a dramatic turn. The league has handed down a lifetime suspension to the young star for using steroids, sending shockwaves through the basketball world. This isn't just a rumor for Reese. It's a decision that could end her career, and people can't stop talking about it.
Well, you knew they were going to come for you. You had to know that. Now, to the degree that they're doing so, I get where you're coming from. You had a decisive advantage because they made the mistake of letting you know who they are, whoever those people are. That's not the case with all. It's not the case with most. But those who screech the loudest get the most attention sometimes. And that's what the worst of cynics and critics.
Let's break down what happened. Reese, at just 22 years old, was caught using performance-enhancing drugs. Now she's blaming her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, claiming it was all Weatherspoon's idea.
Sports figures, are you kidding me? A woman that rebounds and shows up half naked to games. They're just anyway, there's so much I want. Just start with the sports.
But here's the thing. At 22, Reese is well past the age where she can claim ignorance. She's a professional athlete who should know the rules inside and out.
You shouldn't be doing that. You're hurting her and then you're hurting your other players.
This case is different because the punishment is much harsher than usual. Normally, when professional athletes are caught using steroids, they get suspended for 20 games or maybe a season. But a lifetime ban? That's extremely rare. It shows how seriously the WNBA is treating this violation. Let's look back at 2017. NBA player Joakim Noah tested positive for a banned substance and received a 20-game suspension. He served his time and came back to play. Reese won't get that chance. Her career in the WNBA was over before it really began.
Caitlin Clark showed up, and this is proof that her life is 10 times as hard as, to get the same credit.
People were actually watching her play basketball, so that added stress of the much bigger audience certainly came into play. I don't want to say scrutiny, but coverage is another way of lowering the bar. And I'm going to say this again. This is a Confucius mantra. The standards they set for you is what they really think of you.
So why did Reese take such a massive risk? It all comes down to one name, Caitlin Clark. When Reese joined the Chicago Sky, she was hyped as the next big thing in women's basketball. But Clark was out there breaking records left and right, dominating the league in her rookie season.
Since the Marina Mabry trade, and she has stepped up her game in that opportunity. Caitlin Clark for three, rattles it around for her first deep shot.
Well, she's definitely...
Reese, on the other hand, was struggling to make an impact.
And that's what makes Caitlin Clark so dangerous. That's what makes Caitlin Clark worthy of destruction.
The pressure to keep up with Clark's amazing performance must have been overwhelming. Reese was barely hitting double digits in half of her first 10 games, and the constant harsh comparisons to Clark made it even worse. Feeling the need to stay competitive, Reese made the terrible decision to use steroids for an edge.
You just wanted attention. You were being an attention whore. And so because your basketball couldn't do it, you went to other things. It's like a kid that can't get attention from its parents. They start acting out.
Even with the performance-enhancing drugs, Reese still couldn't match Clark's success.
Look, I think it's a blessing and a curse because, sometimes you look at, well, Caitlin Clark got her team wrong. That's different. You can't judge your team's success by somebody else's success. I don't know what they were expecting.
Clark was out there scoring 761 points in her rookie season, all while staying clear of any controversy. Reese, despite the artificial boost, still needed to catch up.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. I saw that spoon, Teresa Witherspoon. She was a WNBA player, unbelievable player. She got terminated today from the Chicago Sky. I don't understand that decision.
This scandal isn't just about Reese. Her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, is in trouble too. Weatherspoon has been suspended, accused not only of ignoring Reese's steroid use, but actually supporting it. Instead of focusing on proper training and strategy to help Reese improve, Weatherspoon allegedly backed the idea to juice her up. This is a huge downfall for Weatherspoon. Once a respected figure in women's basketball, she's now caught in one of the WNBA's biggest scandals. Her choice to put Reese ahead of the rest of the team has completely backfired.
Chicago Sky said goodbye to Teresa Weatherspoon, saying that it was time to, quote, make a change. And that change meant that Teresa Weatherspoon had to make her exit.
The impact of this scandal goes beyond just Reese and Weatherspoon. It has affected the entire Chicago Sky team. Before the Olympic break, the team was doing well in the league. But after the break, when Reese's steroid use was likely at its peak, the team's performance